If you've ever wanted to learn how to caribou tuft, I'm going to show you a little tutorial on how to get started. So you'll need your caribou fur. You can use undyed or dyed in a different color that you like. So I'm going to be using this coral and the white. I'm going to show you two different ways of doing it. You're going to need some sinew, and then you'll need a glover's needle and a hide or any material that you want to do your tufting on. So the first thing we're going to do is thread our sinew with our glover's needle. So I'm going to grab my glover's needle here. So it's a bigger needle, not your typical sewing needle or your beading needle. It's meant for leather. And then we're going to thread our sinew on there. If you have sinew, you just want to divide it into different strands. Usually they come apart in a few different strands. So I'm just using one strand here as this sinew is quite durable. If yours is a little on the thinner side, then you might want to double it up and just use a bigger strand. And we're going to tie a knot at the end. And most importantly, we're going to burn the end of the sinew so it doesn't unravel. Once we have our sinew ready to go, we're going to grab the hide that we're going to be tufting on. Again, if you want to do a design or anything on yours, this is just showing you the general step of tufting. So we're going to go through the back side and bring our needle up through the front, and then we're going to go pretty close. So you don't want to go too far away from where you came up. So we don't want to go over here. We want to go right beside it and go pretty close there. And then we're going to go back through to the back, and before you bring it all the way through, we're going to leave that loop open because that's where we're going to be placing our caribou fur. So grab the color you want to work with, and you want to find a chunk that has a longer piece of fur. Some have a little bit shorter in some sections, so grab a good size. If you want your tufting to be really full and thick, then you're going to use a bigger chunk. If you want it to be not as full, then you want a smaller piece. So I'm just going to start here with a smaller piece, and you're just going to want to cut that piece off. A little bit challenging. You got to hold it in one hand so it doesn't all fall apart. Keep it as even as you can, and then we're just going to place that in our loop, and our loop is going to go right in the middle of that tuft. So the bundle of fur, it's going to go right in the middle. Okay, and then I'll show you guys here. You want to hold the fur with one hand, and with the other hand you can rearrange it if you need to. Make sure it's in the middle. And then with your other hand, you're going to pull from the back. And you want to pull quite tight, because if you do not have it tight enough, the fur will fall out. So once you have it tight, we're going to trim that sinew off, and we're going to do 2 knots. So I'm going to pull quite tight here, 2 knots. And then I'm going to trim that. And then I'm also going to burn this end so it doesn't unravel. So now we have the beginning of our tuft, and you can kind of pull on it a little bit to see if it comes out. It should not if it's tight enough, and then we can start trimming it. So how you want to trim it is just a little bit off each side. So you want to work your way around. If you're doing a circle, then you want to continue just bringing the circle inwards. So just trimming on the outside, a little by little, a little bit on the top. You can shape it. And if you're doing different shapes, like the one I will show you in a minute that I did was some leaves. So you would just bead the outside of the leaf and then shape it towards the beading. So you can pretty much do any design you'd like for this one. I'm just showing you guys a general, easier beginner tuft that will be a circle. And you can continue just trimming. I would suggest don't trim too much, because if you cut like that, then you're going to have bigger chunks missing. So always start with a little bit and work your way in. And if you want it to be a longer tuft, then you just obviously want to trim it less. If you want it to be a little more dense, then you trim it down more. Also, having some good small scissors really helps the project look nice and neat. Big scissors don't really work for this, as you want it to be little tiny cuts, and you want to be able to control it a little bit more. So you just want to work your way around with your little scissors and trim. And if you're trimming it and you realize, oh no, I trimmed too much or I don't like the shape of it, you can just take it out from the back and restart. That's the nice part about it. And it does take patience, and it's quite messy because you see you have little hairs everywhere. So usually I'll just wait till I'm done and then brush those into the garbage. But it is, does test your patience a little bit and does make a mess. But anyways, I'm going to show you now another way that you can do tufting. The same idea, but if you want to mix different colors, it makes it kind of unique, a little bit pretty. You can use as many colors as you want. For this one, I'm just going to show you 3 colors mixed together. So I'm going to mix together a purple, the coral, and a white to give you guys an idea how you can blend different colors together and make different designs. And the thing is with tufting, depending on the fur, it's never really going to be the same for each one unless you're using the exact same color. So they're all kind of unique in their own way. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going up through the back just like we did for the first one. And then we're going to create that loop again. I'll leave that loop open. Once your loop is ready to go, we're going to grab the colors we want to work with. So I'm going to be using some purple here. I'm going to cut a little piece of it, and you don't want to cut too much. So if you want one color to be dominant, you want more of that color, and then you can add some other colors if you just want like a subtle effect. But I'm going to try to do just a quick mix of 3 different colors to show you guys. Okay, you want to just kind of clean that up, remove any excess that is loose. I'm going to grab some white here, cut off a little piece. Make sure you're holding on to your first tuft so you don't lose it. Okay, so right now I have a purple and a white, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the coral here to mix it in. So just again, a small chunk of the coral. And again, the same thing, if you want it to be a more full, dense tuft, then you're going to use bigger pieces for all. And if you want, say, the coral to be more dominant, then you're going to want a bigger chunk of the coral. So remove the excess that is just hanging there. Okay, and you can do it like this. You could just layer them like this and then tuft, but I'm just going to divide it in half and just kind of place the other half on top. Okay. And then we're going to put that inside our loop again. And the same thing, make sure it's in the middle. And then you're going to want to pull it from the back quite tight. And then it creates that nice little poof at the front. And make sure it's tight. And then we're going to cut it off and do a double knot again. And burn the end so it doesn't unravel and that it's nice and secure. So 1 knot there. And we're doing our 2nd knot. And then I'm just going to burn the end off here. And then we can flip it over, and it looks a little bit crazy right now. But once we start trimming it, we can see, we can add, you can add more if you'd like. If you want more coral or different colors, you can kind of see how it lays out there. But I'm just going to trim it, and you can kind of see how it comes together once you clean it up. So even just by trimming a little bit off, you can see how it looks. I think the marble effect or adding different colors really just gives it a different look. It's really nice with like floral designs, or if you want to add, different colors into your work, and you can marble it way more. So you can add, like, separate it more and add different colors, or you can just, instead of dividing it by half and doing it that way, like how I did, I split the caribou in half, you can divide it again in another half, and it kind of creates a marble effect. But it's kind of cool how this one's mirroring each other, so you can kind of see that the purple is equal on both sides and the coral is equal on the other side, and then the white is kind of in the middle. I think it looks pretty. And again, so you just want to keep trimming. If you're doing a circle, again, you just want to trim little by little, not too much. And this one, you can see it's not super dense. I didn't add a big tuft in there. Again, if you want it to be more dense, then you just want to add more caribou fur. And just patience, keep trimming, shaping. And you can kind of see, I'm not going to go through the whole process. I'm just going to show you guys quickly. So that's what you can do. I added this into my beadwork, so you can add different colors. You can kind of marble it if you'd like. And that's pretty much it. It's really simple, really fun. Give it a try.